Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Biblio Fitness. Hope everyone had a great weekend. I did. I had quite a bit of quite a bronze actually, and a fresh cut, so feel pretty civilized. So today, it's gonna be a quick video. It's gonna be over the death of Elder Zosima. Apparently that had quite a big impact on our friend Alyosha, which is obviously the main character. And I'm honestly starting to understand the point of it all, the message. I'm just got like halfway through the fucking book, so yeah, it's all starting to come together in terms of what it all means. But the reason I wanted to talk about the elder is because this guy was very revered. He was a very loving guy, and and if you read the book, you could tell like his philosophy is very altruistic. He's a very altruistic kind of guy. He's really taken the whole philosophy of Christianity to heart and really applied himself to it throughout his everyday life, which is admirable. And and there's a lot of obviously comparisons. Like I've said before, you can't understand Christianity without understanding Greek philosophy. A lot of it is very Platonic. A lot of it from the Platonic school of thought, or if you don't know what that means, it means from Plato. Plato making the case that what we see is not as important as the things around us, as the forms, the spiritual, the things that we can't really see. It's not just the material. And now that's always been a very precarious thing. I think there should be a middle ground. It can't be just completely materialistic, because then we have the world that we live in now, where money and clothes and status is the only thing, is our holy trinity, I guess you could say. But the reason I want to talk about is because, like I said, he's a very revered man, but yet he still had a lot of haters and a lot of envious people and a lot of people that despise him. And it just really goes to show that no matter how you act, no matter how you are or who you are or how you go about in life, you're always going to have people that are just going to despise you. And I know this is pretty obvious, but we really don't really take that into account on an everyday basis. Like when we consider what actions we want to take, a lot of the times we take more into consideration how people are going to perceive us instead of how it's going to benefit us. So, and that's something that Nietzsche highlighted very eloquently in What Power was. It's crazy how we focus more on what our neighbor thinks than what we think. We always our first thought is, what are the people around us going to think? How are they going to react? How it's going to impact them, instead of thinking about us. Like, while that may seem individualistic and counterintuitive to the whole message of Dostoevsky, it's still alarming. And at the end of the day, even if you take other people into consideration, you will never satisfy everybody. And as Nietzsche said as well, a friend to everyone is a friend to no one. And you're never going to be able to acquiesce, because this guy was a very loving guy. He really practiced what he preached. Like, he had this little naughty things, like to eat sweets, and they dogged on him. Because when he died, for some reason people are retarded, but this is how it was back then, that when people were very revered and such a high status as Zosimas the Elder, there's this superstition, I guess you could say, that they had healing properties, that he was going to become a saint. And that's why people by the boatload with their kids and they're sick coming in to go to the wake, basically the funeral ceremony, to get some healing properties. So it's very selfish. Like the fact that he died, instead of remembering him, instead of caring, instead of grieving or whatever, no, people just want to go there just because, oh, let's see if I could squeeze out something else from this guy before they put him in the coffin, which is disgusting and an unfortunate active part of the human condition that we see every day, right? People only love when they're useful. And especially for us men, if you're useful, everyone cares about you. But as soon as you don't seem useful, no one ever contacts you. That's the lonely world of the average man. That's the only, that's just how it is. And for some reason, there was a lot of like legends and stuff, like the elder before him didn't rot. Like you naturally start decomposing. You naturally start putting off an odor because your body is decomposing. And if people are like, oh, but people who are saints, like apparently the way that you decompose or you don't decompose is if you were actually favored by God. Like, you're supposed to defy the laws of nature and physics and biology by not not exuding that odor of corruption, as they say in the book. And then people started noticing the smell, and it became this huge uproar. And people started bad-mouthing, like, oh, clearly the way that we judge men is completely different way God judges men, because clearly God did not care about this guy because he's letting him rot instead of keeping him pure or keeping his body pristine. And people immediately turned that into some negative thing and started bad-mouthing the elder. And then people who were hating on him really started becoming big mouths and started puffing their chest out and saying, oh, see, he wasn't as good as people claim him out to be. He was a fucking fraud and blah, 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 blah. And the people who were supposed to defend him and his fans and the people that really cared about him kept their mouths shut. So there was no defenders. Like, people were not defending him. And then there's this one of those fathers, I forgot his Farapon or some shit like that he's like a holy fool, like a guy that's constantly fasting. He's always fasting, he's always praying, he's always in his own little world. He has a vow of silence, he rarely ever talks, and he was like a big opponent of Zosima. And he comes on and he starts saying, oh yeah, see, the devil, and clearly your father wasn't revered, look at him, look at the odor, and stuff like that. Like, it was really talking shit. And if it wasn't for Father Paisi, which is the guy that was reading over and the guy that went over his funeral and read him his final, his confession or whatever it is that you do when you die. I'm not a Catholic, so I don't know, I forgot. And he told him, like, dude, like, relax, like, shut up. Like, who are you to judge? Who am I to judge? We're just humans. Who are we to interpret the way that God does these things? It's, at the end of the day, it's just still, I don't understand. It's a fucking natural occurrence for you to start decomposing. But it became this huge uproar in the church, and people started bad-mouthing. People came from the village and the town, really curious. They'd be like, oh, see, these guys are just a bunch of smoochers. They ain't shit. They're just like everybody else, and they're no contribution to society. So this whole scene was just so exaggerative. It was so unnecessary, but yet it transpired. And the reason I want to talk about it is because, like, this guy was very revered, and yet people hate him. People still badmouth him for all the good things that he did, and look how people treat him. People are just very ungrateful. And I guess the message is like, it doesn't matter. Like, you still have to do what you have to do. People are going to be ungrateful whether you do the right thing or not. People are going to be ungrateful. There's always going to be something that people are going to judge you for, and they're always going to be nitpicking on anything. Like, you're not perfect, and they're going to attack the things that don't make you perfect. Because people are hypocrites, and they like to point the fingers at other people when they're the exact same individual a lot of the times. You know what I'm saying? Like, they criticize someone for being ignorant or being angry or this or that, but yeah, you exude or you exhibit the same character flaws in which you are criticizing. So, the lack of self-awareness is astounding. And this affected our main character, Alyosha, quite profoundly. And not in the way that he lost belief. It was just like how I said, like, bro, like, like, he's decomposing, sure, but look how they treat him. Look how they run him over. Look how they run his name through the dirt because he, and it really affected him. And he goes, like, I think this will be the next episode because I don't want to fucking go off on a 30-minute thing anymore. Well, not anymore, but I feel like, there's two different things we could talk about. So, Zosima is a great character, and he could tell that he is the foundation in which how Alyosha is now going to be now. Like, he's the one that's going to take up the mantle of being this guy that's above the animalism that's going on in the world. And he really is becoming the centerpiece. Like, he's going to be the moral compass of it all. Like, that's why every single character in the fucking book looks at him as this North Star. Like, oh, like I look at him and I realize my flaws, and I realize how much of a piece of shit I am when I look at him. Like, he's like the ideal looking right back at them in the face, type shit is what I mean. And now he's gonna now take on that role, but we'll get to that on the next episode. But it's just a shame, like, people, you die, and at the end of the day, like, why even worry about your reputation? This is another thing that's very Greek and very stoic, is At the end of the day, you can't really care about your reputation, because that's how Marcus Aurelius said, like, your reputation, you have no control of it. You don't know how people are going to remember you, and the people that remember you are going to die, and the people that remember them are going to die, and you never know how your reputation is going to be. Like, if, like, look at the founding fathers, look at all these people, like, they were revered for such a long time, and now people are pulling down their statues and villainizing them. So give it enough time and you will be hated as well. So why give a fuck? Why care about other people's opinions? Why care how people are going to react to your actions and your decisions? And I know he's trying to live altruistically, but at the same time, you have to, like, take into account that to be selfish is not such a bad thing, because if you're constantly thinking about what other people might think, you are never going to work, you are never going to be happy, you are never going to be satisfied, because you can't satisfy anybody. You won't be able to satisfy everyone, and you really can't live like that way. You never really lived, really. You're just a fucking tool. So the next episode is going to be about Mr. Alyosha and his interaction with Grushenska right after this. Like I said, it really deeply affected him, and in a very profound way. And he kind of slipped for a little bit there, but he kind of brought himself back, I guess you could say. So yeah, that'll be all for today. I'm going to let you guys off easy with just an 11-minute video or 12-minute video. So hope y'all have a great day. Hope y'all make some amazing gains. Hope y'all get some water. Hope y'all read, and constantly remember that, you know, to do the work and to outwork yourself out. And I know it's tough right now. Like today, I'm not really feeling it today. It's one of those days where I feel kind of down, but I'm just having that conversation within myself that, you know, all these moments and all these thoughts and all these pains and sufferings will eventually pass, and it all matters on how you adapt, and are they going to be stepping stones, or are they going to be obstacles? You know, it's all a matter of perspective. What's all a matter of mentality, and how you are going to react to these things. So, you know, and that's why it's very important to have discipline. You know, motivation is not always gonna be there. Motivation is very fleeting, but to hold yourself accountable is very key. You know, and I want to keep making these videos, and I want to keep holding myself accountable and doing the right thing. And you're not always gonna feel like wanting to do the right thing, but it doesn't matter what you want to do. What matters is what you have to do. So, love y'all, and I hope y'all have a great day. Peace.